everyone. Hello, friends who is tuning in from LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Welcome to another of my weekly LinkedIn Live, 30 minutes coffee break with your LinkedIn gal. For those of you who have followed me for a while, you guys know the drill. And when you're dialing in, where are you dialing in from? Please comment below so to let me know. I'm so excited to have you today. And you know, I love me for a very good coffee. Have you got your coffee today? If you don't know me, I'm Salina Young, the ex-LinkedIn girl turned into the CEO of the In Academy. In the middle of COVID, I am showing up for my amazing community every Wednesday, same time usually, but today I'm going to have this amazing guest joining me to share one topic, hacks to help you to get real result on LinkedIn, utilize the power of this platform, and stop feeling stuck, overwhelmed, lack of time to figure out LinkedIn all by yourself. I'm here for you. Let's get started. Procrastination is something that I often talk about with my clients. And they would say sometimes, Salina, I will update my LinkedIn profile. I will start posting on LinkedIn. I will go to the gym. I'll eat healthily. I'll quit my awful job that I've been complaining for ages and start my business tomorrow. And when I check in tomorrow, you know what's happening? Nothing is getting done. I know sometimes it's hard and people would make tons of excuses saying, I don't know what to start. I don't have time. I'm not even a good writer. I don't feel to do this anymore. Is that you, my friend? And I'm so happy that Stephen is joining me today. And guys, please let me know in the comments box below where you're dialing in from, because today I'm super stoked to welcome my very special guest, an incredible LinkedIn friend. I'm going to introduce you to someone who is a productivity consultant, professional organizer. She has featured in Market Watch, Amex Business Blog, 30 plus top rated podcasts, and her book, Pivoting with Purpose, Rich Amazon bestseller 2020. And above all, she is known as the Marie Kondo of San Diego. Did your years just parks up just like I do? I am. And I want you to walk out today with this show feeling empowered, confidence in taking action whenever you're learning something new, want to start a new project, and when you dive into building your own personal brand online or whatever it might be. I think we all need to use some extra shot, I'm not mentioning the coffee one, of accountability and get into our daily habits that make a huge difference in getting to the finish line. And that's what this episode is all about. And I couldn't think of a better person to talk to you about make shit happen today, not tomorrow. So who is this amazing productivity coach and organization guru that I'm talking about? Welcome, Melisa.
Hi,
Hey,
Salina. How are you?
Good. So happy to see you and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I love that I'm wearing your colors and you're wearing my brand color with the yellow. It's awesome.
Absolutely. And we don't plan for it. And I love that we already have that, shared. Great mind share the same, right?
Yep.
And thank you so much for joining to the channels. And I just want to quickly welcome again, Stephen. Bridget, it's so good to see you. I see some old and new faces today. And then Shikaha, I hope I do not butcher your name. And then also my friend here who have been dialing in and out every week. So thank you for joining. Hey, friends. Yes. So Melisa, I know today we're going to dive in and learn so much from you as a productivity coach about make shit happen today. But before we do, I'm pretty sure my audience would like to know about you. Tell me one fun fact that is not on your LinkedIn profile.
Sure. Yeah. So it's funny because just before we jumped on, Salina asked me, she's like, how do you pronounce your last name? And I'm like, well, actually, it's my middle name. My last name is Turkish. I have dual citizenship in Turkey. Most of my family lives there. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to visit last year, but we are going this year. Usually, I try to vacation there for at least 2 weeks to a month out of the year. And now, being able to work remotely is awesome with everybody kind of going to that remote workforce. So I'm super excited to go home and visit my family in Turkey. And that's definitely not on my LinkedIn profile. Usually people think Meral is just my last name.
I thought so too. And Meryl, I thought that's your last name, and very, very happy that you share this fun fact with us. And please teach us how to speak your last name, because I'm pretty sure my audience will be curious too.
Yeah, so my middle name is just Meryl. I always say like Meryl Streep, like the actress. That usually makes it easier for people to see it and understand it. And then my last name in Turkish, it has a bunch of Turkish letters in it, so that's why usually no one can ever pronounce it. But it actually means iron fist in Turkish. So it's
Wow.
it's getting shit done, right?
Oh, yeah, strong woman. It's all about that. I love that. Wow, Iron Fist. I love that. So this will be Melisa Meryl Iron Fist.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, it's perfect last name for me.
Yes, absolutely. And Devil, I hope I do not butcher your name again, my friend. I'm so happy to connect this, and I'm very happy you're here. And Devin here, great show, thank you. And please, guys, help me to welcome Melisa, and we're really excited to learn all things about productivity. And
Yeah.
Melissa, you are well known in San Diego with this Mary Kondo. Tell me how that happened. That's incredible.
Yeah, so basically, I started my entrepreneurial journey about 10 years ago in 2011 here in San Diego, California, and kind of just got started really scrappy in the professional organizing space. So, residential decluttering, home organizing, these people that come in and they figure out and help you keep, toss, and donate and make your pantry prettier and make your garage more functional. That's what pro organizing is, for those of you that don't know. And then later in my career, I side hustled for about 8 years. I left my corporate job back in 2017 and decided to take it all full time and grow it and scale it. I hired a team. I had 4 people working with me. And we were serving a territory in San Diego County of over 100 square miles. So it was a pretty large market share that we had here. That was around the time that Marie Kondo and her show, Tidying Up on Netflix, became popular, as well as, of course, her book, the Sparking Joy book, if you guys have ever heard of
Yes.
that. And so around that time, pro organizing really started to gain traction and become popular, because back in the day, no one really understood it. They were like, wait, so you clean houses? And I'm like, no. And they're like, wait, so you remove junk from homes? And I'm like, not really. I'm not a junk removal company. So it took a while for people to understand it. And then after 10 years, I kind of became this well-known pro organizer here in San Diego.
Wow, that's incredible. So you, Melissa, basically you have this idea before Mary Kondo get famous, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. And we definitely have different styles. She's a lot more like, oh, you have to, fold it this
Awesome.
way and you have to bless your clothes and, this and that. I'm more like, okay, let's get it done. Let's get it out of here. Let's get you organized. I'm kind of the more boot camp style.
Yes, yes, no BS. Let's do it, right? I love
Exactly.
that. Me too. I felt a little bit bad when I don't bless my clothes. When I was watching it, I was like, how do I bless my clothes? I got these clothes from H&M for like $9 US, So
Exactly.
yeah, so it's interesting. And how that idea comes alive, right? Like why that's something, I mean, spark you joy of helping people to declutter or help organize, if you don't mind me asking some follow-up question here.
Yeah, definitely. I one of my favorite quotes, and you probably can't see it in my frame, maybe a little bit if I move it over. But that's my favorite quote: is the meaning of life is to find your gift, and the purpose of life is to give it away. And supposedly it's a Pablo Picasso quote, but nobody really knows. And that's really, what I've tried to live my adult life with. I'm a child of immigrants, so my dad is from Turkey, and I have the dual citizenship and everything. So kind of growing up as a first generation American, I was taught to really just go to school and get good grades and get a job and go to college and live and work for 50 years and not question anything. And I was like in 2017 finding myself making six figures at the age of 28 years old. And I was like miserable. I had everything. I checked all the boxes. I did everything that any immigrant parent would want a child to do.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, at the end of the day, I found myself not fulfilled. I was depressed. I had anxiety. I was overweight, all of these things. And I was like, I need to make a change. And what had I always been good at was organizing and cleaning. And I was always that little kid that was like alphabetizing magazines or like, OCD. And so I was like, hey, I can turn this into a money-making machine. And that's what I did.
Wow, that's incredible. Well, I mean, if you have not told me that, that's absolutely crazy. And I could totally resonate with you because I have Asian parents. So they're really, really straight about what success meaning, and success, the equal is usually the dollars term, and I don't like it. And now that I think about it, my success is basically my happiness. And I like this sparking joy thing that Mary Kondo is speaking about. And every time when I'm trying to find something that I want to do and execute, I always think about whether that will spark me joy. If that's not something that I want to do, I usually leave it. And that's really fantastic to know. And you decided to, went ahead and make this a huge success. And I know you do. And you even have a book talking about pivoting. And that's so, so fantastic. And share us to us more a little bit about that book, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So prior to leaving sort of the corporate rat race back in 2017, end of 2017, I had actually worked in consulting for Fortune 500 companies in human capital management, so like staffing, recruiting, managing supplier staffing agencies and things like that. So I learned a lot about, resume writing and interviewing and career coaching and how to get people connected with folks on LinkedIn. And, I always say your network is your net worth. And obviously LinkedIn is a huge tool for that. And so a lot of that is in my book, Pivoting with Purpose. The subtitle is The Hamster Wheel, the Rat Race, and Other Career Myths Holding You Back. So it's kind of like, hey, this is my journey. It's a story of trauma to triumph, but then it's also a story of how to just grow your career, pivot with purpose. If you're finding yourself stuck in a career you hate and you don't know what to do, these are my kind of my war stories of going through it all and then making that pivot into something that I like a lot better.
Wow, that's absolutely inspiring. And I like also the subtitle of The Hamster Wheel because, Melisa, you know what? I have been there. Like, even though I really enjoy working for LinkedIn and I learned so much during the past year that I've worked for them, but I felt like the minute that I left the company, I felt really relieved in a way that actually I'm super replaceable, like that position of me. But I used to identify myself so much with the company and think that, I am the LinkedIn girl because most of my business now is based off of it and share some of the insider knowledge. But at the same time, I could be replaced anytime. It's just one of the gear in a very well-oiled machine. So I like that you said, the hamster wheel. That's exactly how I felt,
Yeah. And that's a lot of Fortune 500 companies is unfortunately at some point, every company was a startup at some point. LinkedIn back in the day was scrappy and gritty and had probably 5-10 employees. Everybody starts somewhere, but at some point when you start getting into becoming investment backed, when you go public, when you grow bigger and bigger, you sort of lose that entrepreneurial spirit, that creativity, that innovation, and it becomes more about red tape and bureaucracy. And I get it. You have to run a well-oiled machine, but unfortunately, some of us start feeling like cogs in the wheel of that well-oiled machine, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And if any of you are listening to me and Melisa, if you felt very resonate to this, please give us a yes in the comment box. We would like to hear from you. And I'm very happy that Devin Cole is here. And this one, LinkedIn user, I sort of know who you are because we're trying to figure out how we can make yours available so that people will know you. But I assume you're Joseph. But Joseph, very happy to see you, or Aya, either of you. But Cole, very happy to see you. Hello, hello, to our show again. So, Melisa, before I sort of prepare for today speaking to you, I was trying to sort of research about procrastination, and I saw this meme, and I felt very funny and resonate to the idea. It's talking about I don't procrastinate. I wait until the very last moment to do things because I will be older and therefore wiser. And I was like, this is very funny. And sometimes a couple of clients tell me about that. Like, I will wait until the perfect moment. So this is a perfect segue for me to ask you, how do you coach people to make shit happen today, not tomorrow?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's my favorite thing to coach on. I've done a ton of like speaking gigs and virtual workshops and stuff during the past year on this topic. It's definitely my sort of go-to. I always say let's start with the basics, and that's setting yourself up for a solid morning and evening routine. So, if you're kind of dilly-dallying in the morning, you're not working out, you're not eating a healthy breakfast, you're not waking yourself up in some sort of way where you're expressing gratitude or journaling or meditating or exercising, setting your day up for success is what I'm all about. So having that morning routine, making sure you're waking up around the same time every day so your body can get used to that system and that routine. And then the same goes for evening routines. So how are you winding down at the end of the day? Are you spending a million hours on social media and going into a black hole of time wasting, and then you're staying up way too late so that you're tired the next day and you're not motivated to get stuff done? So going to bed early, making sure you're getting a good night's sleep, making sure you're eating a healthy dinner, making sure you're wearing yourself out enough to the point where you're actually tired at the end of the day. So maybe you're not doing enough during the day, and that's why you're just like, bored, sluggish at the end of the night, watching TV, watching Netflix. So really setting up that morning and evening routine, I'd say, is the first step.
I agree more, and I'm very curious to know about your and evening routine.
Oh, I think we lost you for a second. What did you say?
Oops. No, I'm asking. I'm curious to know what's your morning and evening routine.
Oh, what's mine? Oh my gosh. Well, I'm like, OCD, so mine is probably a little more intense than others, and I'm not expecting anyone to, ever take anything I say for, the nothing but the truth. Everything is open to interpretation. I'm all about customizing to whatever works for you and your lifestyle. I don't have kids. Those that have kids, sometimes the mornings are just a crazy rat race of just shenanigans in the morning, and so I can't necessarily relate to that. But my personal morning routine is I get up at 5:30 a.m. every day. I do 1 cup of coffee. I do my vitamins, my breakfast, whatever. Get out the door by 6 a.m. Walk my dog. I have a pit bull. He's down here somewhere. But yeah, he's great, and he keeps me accountable because he wants to go outside and go for his walk every morning. And then when I get home, just shower, get in front of my computer, and be ready to work by 7 a.m. and have my coffee again and keep going. Evening routine, I'm actually kind of a grandma. I go to bed very early. I'm usually asleep by like 9 p.m. And that gives me that solid, right? That gives me that solid 8 hours of sleep. And, that's sort of the standard that you hear from doctors all the time. Get your 8 hours of sleep. So I can't really survive without that. Sleep for me is huge.
Wow, that's incredible. And how do you manage to get all the things done before 9? Then I assume your dinner is super early too.
Yeah, I go to the gym every night. So I walk the dog again at the end of the day at like 5 p.m. and then at like 6 p.m. Good afternoon, Anthony. And then at the end of the day, I go to the gym every night from 6 to 7, and then basically I eat right before that so that I don't snack at night. That's another thing I want to talk about is decision fatigue, and this idea of only being able to make a few decisions a day. And by the end of the day, if you've made already 100 decisions on what to wear, where to go, what to cook, where to walk your dog that day, what route you're going to go on, what to send in that email. Do you put an exclamation point or not? We make so many decisions every day.
So true. So
By the end of the day, our brains are just frazzled out. They don't know how to make any more decisions. And so a lot of times this is why people will snack. They'll go to the fridge 55 times before bed. They're not hungry. They don't need to eat, but their brain can't make that decision for them anymore. So they're just like brain dead by the end of the day. So don't get yourself into that state of decision fatigue. That's another no-no when it comes to being a procrastinator.
I love that. Wow. It's so true. I never really noticed that we make so much small to big decisions every day. And that's basically using our brain power. You're so right. And I have been to that sort of sneaking to the to the fridge and trying to find stuff to put in my mouth without being hungry. So I can really relate to that. And Anthony's so happy that you can join us. And Andrew asked a really interesting question, Melisa. 5 a.m. even on the weekends?
So I move it to like 6:30. That's a really good question, Andrew. I move it to 6:30 on the weekends, and this is why. I do my gym. I go to F45. It's like an Orange Theory, or it's like it's a group fitness class where they
also F45 in Hong Kong before.
Oh, you do? Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
I love it because it holds me accountable. It keeps me from procrastinating in the gym. I know that about myself, and I know that if I go to a regular gym that's just open setting, I'm not going to make myself a great routine. I'm not going to get a great workout. I'm going to go there. I'm going to dilly-dally. I'm going to be on Instagram for 2 hours. I'm going to waste my time. The good thing about F45 is it's 45 minutes. It's quick. It's dirty. You get in, you get out, and you're done. And my class on weekends is at 8 a.m. So it's not in the evenings on weekends. They don't have like evening classes on the weekends. So that's why I move it up just a little bit, Andrew. I give myself that hour of sleeping in time.
Yeah, I like it. Andrew's very curious to know about your weekend routine. And now we ask, how do you avoid making it redundant and not too boring in the long run? That's a very interesting, good questions as well. It's true.
So I think for me, I struggle with like the MBTI, but supposedly I'm an INTJ. As I get older and older, I'm starting to feel like I'm the total opposite of that, like an ESFP on Myers-Briggs. But with being an INTJ, I am very routine. I am very structured. I am very logic oriented. I am creative in some ways, but not in the way of like I'm a painter or a dancer or a singer, or I'm gonna have a cluttered home because I just thrive in that sort of creative environment. I'm not like that. And so for me, it's probably on the outside looking in very redundant and very boring. And where's the fun in that? But that's how I thrive. And that's how I kind of have created this idea of success in my own life. And so again, it's not it's subjective, right? It's not like a one size fits all. So if you need something that's more fun and, well, maybe on the weekends I want to sleep in till whenever I want, and I want to have breakfast in bed, and I want to make pancakes and this and that, do you do whatever works for you. Just make sure that like, if you have some sort of bookends to your day, that's what I call these like morning and evening routines, that'll typically help you at least get some structure to back in your life.
Absolutely. And I absolutely love that. And I think this is definitely Joseph. I'm going to check it. And he was like, wow, if only I could do that. I assume it's going to be the 9 p.m. goal that you have about sleeping. And Melisa, I need to learn from you how to do that. Sleeping is quite important. Totally agree. And for those of you who don't understand what INTP and some of the things that we're talking about is a personality type. Melisa, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the 16 personality type test that you can do online, right?
Yeah, this is originally something that Carl Jung became known for way back in the day, and he did a lot of personality testing, and Myers-Briggs were famous scientists as well. So that's awesome. Nadia says, I'm an INTP, INTJ. So yeah, to Salina's point, you can also go to 16 personalities. So just the number 1 and 6, 16personalities.com. And you can test yourself. And again, everything with a grain of salt, everything's subjective. No, a computer algorithm isn't going to know you personally. But it does give you some insight. And that's another thing, Salina, is, when you have people that are maybe procrastinating, maybe it's that they don't know their strengths super well. So like I know about myself that I love routine. I don't love spontaneity as much as probably most people, I don't love change. I don't love impulsive decisions. Like for you today, we prepared this, we scheduled it. That's what I like. But if you called me last night and you were like, hey, Melissa, do you want to get on with me at 8 a.m. Pacific? I'd probably be like, no, Salina, I need more time to prepare. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think you have to know your strengths, and 16personalities.com is a great way to just kind of take a start there.
Yeah, and I would definitely drop in the comments because I felt like there's a couple of really cool audience like Shiham here asking how does you know about the personality types, and I've done that too. I think I am ENTJ or FJ. Sorry, FJ. Yeah.
ENFJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's 16 different personalities, but basically the point of this, and I also love DISC, almost more so than MBTI, Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. I love DISC. For those of you that have worked in more corporate environments, you might have received that test when you first started a job or when you were interviewing for a role because they wanted to get to know you better. And that's really common in the human resources and recruiting space, is to do personality testing. Hey, who are we actually hiring? What are your unbiased answers on this personality quiz before you start working here? And so DISC is a good one. Clifton Strengths is a good one. It's run by Gallup, so the huge, survey making company, as well as Human Design, but that's kind of a more woo-woo one.
Okay, woo-woo one. So we need to definitely check those 3 platforms out. I will definitely add it in the show notes later. Make sure everyone got your personality type test out and to fit in some of the great tips that Melisa shared with us today. And Dixon, I'm so happy that you're here, man. And he said, wow, never realized that. Cool. And Melisa, to your really interesting point earlier, I agree. Sometimes we won't be procrastinating a lot when it comes to our strength because we know what to do. And our human brain tend not to push that out because it's kind of like a muscle and a habit for us if we really need to go and accomplish that task, right? Whereas when you say earlier, when you feel very uncomfortable about certain change, you tend to procrastinate. And that's how I felt myself too. I have a to-do list every single day. As you can see, there's Melisa one here to prep for the StreamYard and everything. That's helped me to put together a structure. But how is some of the structure that you think is tangible for some of the audience could take away home today to learn how to structure like you, in the morning, the evening routine, and what's in between?
Yeah, so you bring up a good point, Salina. Our brains actually really like to cross things off. So I know that, it is the digital age. We have all these amazing project management tools like Trello and Asana and ClickUp and Monday. And, there's a million apps that you could have to try to become a more productive person. I'm not about any of that. I'm about keeping it simple. I'm not about crowding your life with more things to do. If a simple to-do list on a legal pad with a basic Bic pen works for you, then do it.
Me too.
And believe it or not, I don't have all the statistics and studies. People can Google this if they so choose to, but there is actual science behind the physical manifestation of taking your pen to paper and crossing something off. And it's like a satisfaction. It's like an endorphin evolving type practice, right?
Yeah.
So to-do lists, I'm all about them. The morning routines, the evening routines, avoiding decision fatigue, knowing your strengths. And then one other thing that I love to do is time blocking. This is related to the Pomodoro technique. You might have heard this, like working in actual spurts. I have my little yellow timer here. And so setting, I love this little guy. He's like a 20-minute little timer. You set him, he goes off, and then you can take a little break. You can reward yourself with a walk outside, with music, break, go get yourself a drink, whatever you need to do. And that way you kind of have those work spurts where it's focused time.
Yes. Absolutely. And I saw that tons of you listening. Joseph, it must be Joseph. I know his writing. He said, yes, it's the to-do list. Love it. And then Andrew was like, yes, I really love crossing things off as well. And then Stephen as well, love crossing off. But I do agree. It felt so good to basically cross off stuff. And that's, moving on to the next one. That's why people are feeling bored. To Nadia's point earlier, if there's not a momentum, you're not getting things done, right? If it's a huge task, of course, you're going to procrastinate, right? And I'm very interesting to learn from you, Melissa, because I felt like sometimes I identify me myself doing that when I prioritize all the small little tasks to do it first rather than the big tasks. How do you go about doing this then?
So that's another one of my favorite topics is back in the day, there was a college professor. This is the story. Supposedly this happened. There was a college professor that walked into his class and he held up, in this case, a water bottle, but it was like a glass jar. And he filled it with a bunch of rocks first. So like some big rocks in here. Filled it with rocks and he asked his class, hey, is it full? He fills it up all the way to the top. Well, yeah, it's full. You can't fit any more rocks in there without them falling out of the glass. Okay, so he takes all the rocks out. Then he puts in some pebbles and some rocks. And he says, well, now is it full? And they're like, oh man, you were able to fit more in there with the pebbles and the rocks. And then he dumps it all out and he pours in rocks and pebbles and sand. And the sand kind of trickles into all the little open spaces that were between all the rocks and the pebbles. And he goes, now is it full? Oh, crap. Yeah, I guess now it's full. So the point is, if you're filling up your day, Salina, with, you mentioned the little things because it's easier. It's the quick wins. It's the stuff that's like, I just want to cross it off. I want to feel successful. You're filling up your whole day with sand. Where are those big rocks going in? Your income producing activities, your big rocks of the day, your big projects that are actually going to move the needle forward in your life or in your business. So put your big rocks in first. Usually it's about three big rocks. What are the 3 things I can accomplish today that are really going to move the needle forward? What are the pebbles? The things that could wait. They could wait till tomorrow. Maybe by the end of the week, you get them done. And then the sand is like the scrolling on social media, the checking text messages throughout the day, the going on Facebook, whatever is not serving you, whatever's not moving the needle forward for you. So focus on your big rocks.
I love that. And think about the revenue stream, right? Because that's where affect my bottom line. If I do not do the work of all those big rocks, I'm just doing all the stands, and those stands could not help me to move my business forward. I love that. Thank you so much, Melissa. And Fabi, I hope I pronounced your name correctly, and I'm so glad that you're here today. This is an excellent idea. I seem to lose track of time all the time. I love that. I think it's referring to your little cute yellow, your brand color clock. Yes. I love that. Yeah. And Melissa, tell us more a little bit about when, we built a really good structure, we stick to it. Obviously, sometimes it's difficult to basically keep track of it. How do you go about this?
Yeah. So, sometimes I love the project management systems, like I mentioned, whether you choose free versions, paid versions, doesn't matter, to track my goals. I also have used in the past just a simple Excel sheet or a Google sheet, whatever works for you. Again, it's customizable to yourself, your lifestyle, your preferences. But when you are shown your goals, when you write them down, another famous quote is a goal without a plan is just a wish, or a goal not written down is just a dream. So how are you keeping track of these big rocks, these pebbles, these sandy activities? How are you keeping track of it all? A lot of times we store way too much in here, and then that's why we get the decision fatigue, right? So storing it somewhere, whether it's written down, whether it's electronic. And I like to set smarter goals. Most of you have heard of SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely, or realistic and time bound. There's various different variations there. SMART goals, ER, evaluate and readjust. So make sure that you're not just giving up on the goal. It's, January 1st and you're saying, I want to lose 30 pounds this quarter. This is my New Year's resolution. We see this all the time with New Year's resolutions. And by mid-February, the whole goal has gone out the window. They've totally forgot about it, right? So instead of sitting down and evaluating that goal and then readjusting it, they're not just throwing it away. So set smarter goals.
TER goals. I like that. Smart, not just smart goals, but TER goals. I like that. And what's the time frame you think we should evaluate and review on, like what you suggested usually?
It depends. I mean, in corporate world, we typically do this quarterly, right? So 4 times a year, and then set like a big, annual goal, usually at the end of the year for the next year. But I mean, I set goals sometimes weekly for myself, for my life. I have my business on the side. I also work a full-time job. So, I have a lot of goals at any given time. So some are going to be weekly goals. Hey, I want to make sure that I go to the gym, 5 days this week. Or, hey, I want to make sure that I do my, 15,000 steps on my Apple Watch every day, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Set your goals how you need to set them. How you're an adult, you can hold yourself accountable. It's just time to actually do it.
Absolutely. I love that. And I like your quote so much. A goal without plan is just a wish or a dream. Guys, put it in your notepad right now because I
think I want to say it's a Peter Drucker quote. So it's not my quote. So just to I'm pretty sure it's a Peter Drucker quote.
But you brought it up, and obviously you're the one that basically shared this amazing thoughts. And since we're using StreamYard and LinkedIn is still working very hard to stream it like real time, that's why Shaham said like awesome analogy. I believe is referring back to earlier your amazing story, the professor putting in the rocks, pebbles, as well as sand. I absolutely love that. I think next time if anybody or my clients coming to me with overcoming procrastinating mindset, I will talk about that for sure.
Good.
Yeah. And now I just basically want to opening the floor up if anybody have any questions to Melisa, because she is the productivity coach here as well as the organization guru. I want to make sure you guys get the maximum value out of today's show from her and learning to the best of the best. And Teresa just say, I love the conversation, great tips, and so happy that you're joining us, Teresa. So good. Yeah. Okay, while we're waiting for some of the questions coming, I have actually a couple questions as well. Melisa, when it comes to internal dialogue, we talked a little bit about it earlier, like telling us to go do it. And some of the things that I not recently, but a couple months ago, I find it and recognize it by saying I need to and I have to. But now I try to change it to say I choose to. What do you think about some of the internal dialogue that we're talking ourselves out of things and in things?
Yeah, it's all about priorities. So setting priorities is always going to be personalized for you. And some of us obviously that work full-time jobs and we're given, quotas to meet, or we're given deliverables to meet and objectives. We have other people in our life playing those priorities out with us. But for the most part, a lot of times what I hear when my clients come to me is, well, I just don't have enough time. And it's like, well, there's 24 hours in the day. I'm a big fan of sleep, right? I am not the hustle culture. I am not the Gary Vee. I love Gary Vee, but I am not the work yourself up until 3 a.m. and then get up at 8 a.m. for work. I'm not that. I'm all about going to bed at 9 p.m. and getting 8 hours. I'm not going to tell you otherwise. But say you have those 16 hours of waking hours, what are you prioritizing? Again, telling yourself, well, I have to do that or I choose to do that is a great mindset shift, but it's also more about I'm going to put priority on that. So today, am I going to put priority on this? Yes. Does that mean that I have to work an extra hour to get all my other stuff done that I would have been doing at this time? Yes. But I'm prioritizing this and I'm saying, hey, I'm willing to make that shift. And it's all about being agile, being flexible, and knowing that you're going to have stuff, life happens, right? You're going to have stuff that pops up in your day. You're going to have random fires to put out at work or in your business or in your home life. And it's all about adjusting and reevaluating. Really, it's that, getting smarter about it.
Yeah, smart, but evaluate and review. I like that. The extra one, always going back to the SMART goals. I like that. And now you have this great questions. How do you deal with productivity fatigue? Having to do lists, measuring, check in with several accountability forms. Love that.
I think Understanding when you're starting to see signs of burnout is huge. Burnout is this word that we are hearing a lot about now, just in the mental health space. I think it's Mental Health Awareness Month this month, maybe. I might have that wrong, but
It is. You're right. No,
yeah.
Melissa, it is. Yes.
And so being, being aware of those signs. For me, I actually get vertigo. So for me, it's a very clear sign that when I start to feel like I'm walking around in a bouncy house and I'm dizzy, I am way stressed out and I am way over the limit of my productivity fatigue. That's when it's time to take a step back and start to trim things out of my life. I call this trimming the fat. So are you, again, focusing on those big rocks? That's all that really matters. The pebbles can wait. The sand usually doesn't even matter. That's the sugary, fluffy, frothy stuff.
Yes.
But when you are able to trim the fat, you can figure out, okay, what am I doing that's actually not doing anything? It's not moving the needle forward. It's not serving me or my business or my life or my career in any way. Start to trim the fat. The other thing you can do is automate and delegate. So again, we're in the digital age. There's so many different things we can do to automate things. So maybe you're using canned email templates in HubSpot or in Gmail. Maybe you're turning all of your notifications off on your phone so that you can have truly focused time during the day. Maybe what can you automate? What can you make it work on autopilot? I do a lot of this in my sales and marketing for my business. I plan my content a month ahead of time so I don't have to rush to scramble every day to post something. Automate and then delegate if you need some sort of help. I've honestly hired in my day job people from Fiverr or Upwork, the gig economy, supporting the small business gig economy, giving somebody else maybe in a foreign country some extra income, and they're going to do a task way better than I can do it and way faster than I can do it. And if I have to pay them 10, 15 bucks to do it, please take my money, do it.
Wow, absolutely love it. Wow, great point. Two, amazing point. Like check your signal, whether you're burnout, as well as delegate, like learn how to delegate. And Andrew here, thanks lady for such great coffee break. And then I just want to quickly shout out to Andrew because him and I actually met through lives as well. And he actually pushes himself to learn so much different things and push himself to go above and beyond learning new languages. He speaks multiple languages like Chinese, French, German, and last week he learned how to make baguette. And he put this amazing picture. So when he was putting the coffee as well as the baguette at the end, I just want to quickly give a shout out to you, man. And very happy that you can join us. Nadia, I hope that answered your questions. It's a fantastic question. Keep it coming. And Shuham here saying, how do you categorize my daily action as a new entrance in the market? Like, I'm not sure what exactly is my priority right now. And so how to schedule my action? That's a great question.
Yeah. So if you're saying entrant into the market, like as into the job market, few tips and tricks here. So focus on the outcome that you want to achieve. So if you're looking for a job, that's finding a job. If you're starting a business, that's, getting up and running and starting your side hustle or starting your business, right? So whatever it is, it's focusing on the outcome that you want. So who will you be? And how will you feel when it's done? So starting with the belief, so kind of like Salina mentioned, with the mindset behind it, right? It's not just that you have to do this, but it's that you're choosing to do it or you're prioritizing that you're going to do it. So it's changing your mindset and saying, okay, how do I want to feel? Who do I want to be? How do I want to act? Where am I living? What am I doing? What does it look like? Who's my boss? What's my salary? Kind of, it sounds woo-woo, but it really does help. We are our thoughts and we are what we believe. If we come into anything saying, I'm just too stressed out, or I just have too much to do, or I don't have time, or I don't know what to do, that's you're manifesting that's going to happen, so it's really getting clear on whether you're writing it down, whether you're doing a SMART goal spreadsheet, whether you're doing a SMART goal project management board, getting clear on these are the daily actions, these are the daily needle movers. If you're looking for a job, for example, when I had to re-enter the market after our gig economy unfortunately got wiped out here in California, and I had to offboard my entire team and kind of pivot and readjust, right? I applied to 500 jobs, Shubham. I applied to 500 jobs, and I had to actually really get clear on how many a day I was going to apply to, how many resume tweaks I was going to make, how many cover letter tweaks I was going to make, how many people I was going to reach out to on LinkedIn, just really getting that focused, like tangible check off marks of I did the best I could every day to get that job.
Wow, that's very inspiring. 500, that's crazy. And
I mean, this is in the middle of COVID, right? So the job market was not good when I came back into the job market.
Yeah, wow, that's truly inspiring. And Shabelle, I hope that it's helpful for you. In fact, I know that you're a web content writer. So yeah, let us know if that's something that it's helpful for you in terms of you're actually finding a job, or you're looking into being your boss of yourself, or you're looking to do it as a side hustle, like what Melisa shared earlier, because she's the expert to push people forward from a side hustler to a full-time entrepreneur. So let us know. And Nadia just say, yes, thank you, thank you. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Melisa, for sharing so much amazing nuggets with us. And I just will wait for a bit if anybody have one or two last questions. But Melisa, like before we go, any last sort of like suggestion for people to take away whenever these like crazy procrastination mindset coming out and say that I cannot do this, making so much excuses, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I always like to say action cures fear. So by taking action, by getting a quick win, by making some sort of momentum, making that baby step, right? You don't have to eat the whole elephant. We hear this analogy, you know, how do you eat the elephant? You eat it one bite at a time. So really taking that first step, maybe if you're procrastinating on, you know, I had to create a slide deck for a presentation I was doing last week. I got probably like 3, and this is usually isn't my behavior, but I just really didn't want to do this. It was a boring topic. I didn't want to make the deck. And I got like 3 emails from the guy that was waiting for me to make this deck. And finally I was just like, okay, I'm going to close, you know, I got gritty and I was like, you know, shoot, let me close all my tabs. Let me focus on this one task at hand. And I just knocked it out. And you know what? It took me an hour. And I probably spent more time thinking about doing this stupid deck instead of just actually sitting down and taking the hour to do it. So I think just take whatever baby step you have to do, talk yourself into it, and just make it happen.
I love that. Talk yourself into it and make it happen. And we've got one last question. Let's do that. Yasin was saying how to get rid of negative self-talk during tough times. Ooh.
Yeah, this is a huge one. Again, you know, it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and I think it's whatever, sometimes it's not just self-talk. I'm a verbal processor. I have to talk to someone. So whether that's a therapist, a counselor, even an app, you know, now you don't even have to go meet somebody in person and sit down in an office anymore. You can get an app to help you with your counseling and therapy. I am all about talking it out. Again, I'm a verbal processor. That's kind of how I have to get to conclusions about things. And we can swirl around thoughts in our brains over and over and over again. And like you said, that's not serving anyone. It's just negative. How to get out of that? A, you know, therapy, counseling, I'm all for that. B, journaling. I love to journal. I love to just brain dump, you know, when you have these swirling thoughts. It could be nonsense. You could be writing about what you need to pick up at the store, or what the kids need for their school bag, or whatever's in your head. Get it out, get it on paper, get that clarity of mind. And then just talking yourself through, you know, imagining your quick wins that you've had in the past. Maybe it's testimonials from clients. It's good reviews from past performance reviews from bosses. It's great things people have said about you in recommendations on LinkedIn. It's, you know, gathering this like proof that like, hey, I'm not actually a piece of crap. Like, hey, actually people believe in me. They're cheerleading for me. And then kind of talking yourself up.
Yes, absolutely. I indeed talked about imposter syndrome last week with a friend of mine. He's a business coach. His name is Rob. So if Justin, if you are interested, please feel free to go and watch that replay. And I totally agree with Melisa. Those awesome, great points. And I myself have a little book of my small wins there. And sometimes I would just basically read it whenever I feel down. I hope that is helpful for you, my friend. And Steven said, action, great support advice. And cool. Thank you so much, Melisa. I couldn't believe, our happy times fly so quickly. It's time to say goodbye. And Melisa, where can my audience find you and follow your content? Because I know you have an amazing podcast and your book and everything else. What is something that you want them to basically go and find and help them?
Yeah, basically it's right below in my name. So makeshithappen.biz without the I, because it's technically not a swear word. So makeshithappen.biz. And that way you can check out my book, check out my podcast, check out my past speaking gigs and YouTube videos, and wherever you want to connect with me, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest. I'm kind of all over the place, like Salina said. So I hope to chat with you after today's session. And thank you again for joining.
Yes. And thank you so much for, being with us today and having this awesome early coffee chat with me, Melisa.
Yay. I have to cheers you. I don't know which side of the screen you're on, but there you go.
This way. Cheers.
Nice.
I like that.
All right. Well, thank you so much again, Salina, for having me on. And I'm so happy that we connected at, of all places, my favorite place, LinkedIn.
Absolutely. Me too. And Bridget say thank you. What an interesting coffee break and great. And thank you, everyone. And see you next Wednesday, the same time, 3 p.m. Central European Time or 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And see you guys there. Bye.
Bye.